is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. That's a quote from Maya and Diolu. Hello and welcome to Afro-Woman on iBrandTV. I'm your host, Margaret Opara. On the show today, we will be speaking with a successful woman. You'll meet her after the short break. So stay with us. Thank you for sitting back and watching Afro-Woman. On the show today promises to be amazing, exciting, educative, informative as we speak with the head of school, Folad Kiddies School, Olabiosu Oluwatoyin. Hello, and thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm fine, thank you too.
And thank you for having me.
All right, Folad Kiddies School. All right, let's just start with you as a person, profiling yourself, a strong African woman, a resilient African woman, I must say, an amazing one, and also a beautiful one. Who is Oluwatoyin?
Okay, like rightly said, my name is Oluwatoyin Alibiosu. I'm a Nigerian, born here in Lagos.
Okay.
I'm from a family of 7, my father, my mother, and of course my 4 other siblings. I'm the 3rd child. Yeah, I think, that's all you need to know about me.
Having to come from a family of 7, growing up, what was it for you like as a woman? Or as a young girl?
As a young girl, yeah, growing up for me, I think was really nice because my father, until he retired, was a top management staff of Afribank. Afribank no longer exists anyway.
The then
Afribank. And my mom, of course, was a civil servant. She retired, I think, about a few years ago. And so, yeah, we had all we wanted as a child, however, moderately. You know, so we grew up in a family where there's so much love, opportunity to do what you want to do. However, my mom will always emphasize on moderation. So I think, yeah, it was nice growing up.
Oh, wow. Okay, now you're transitioning from a young child into a lady who knew what she wanted. I want to believe you knew what you wanted as a child. So I want to get a story of how career choice, educational background, and all of those things that come with childhood and growing up.
Okay, so I think I wouldn't necessarily say that at a young age, I wouldn't say I actually knew I was going to become a teacher, even though my mom was one. But I think that was just this way because I remember.
Was a teacher?
Yes, because I remember out of the 5 of us, I was the only one who was always helping my mom with lesson plan. Okay, so that was always be the reward for that. Then, like I said I wasn't so sure, but all I know, I just wanted to work with, work with people. So I opted for human resource. I actually attended Olabisi Onabanjo University.
Okay.
At the point of entry, I was given that course, but I didn't know.
Wow.
So eventually I was offered 2 courses. My father also supported me to do in Olabisi Onabanjo University, we call it Industrial Relations and Personal Management. So my father also supported me to do that. But I didn't know my name was out on that list. The one that drew my attention was the one, I think, economics education. So I'd already registered for economics education. And the next day, I found my name under higher PM. So I was like, wow. Of course, I can't do 2 courses in the university. I had to actually pick one. And since I've paid for economics education, I was like, okay, come on, let's go. And that was how the journey started. After my education at the university, I still was not convinced I was going to be a teacher. I did my professional course with CIPM. I became chartered. I got a job with a private firm. I worked with the human resource department for 2 years. I left that, I worked at another one. As at that time, my mom had already started school.
Oh.
Now, being a public school teacher, whether you like it or not, there's this public school mentality. So she started the school. Each time I return from office, there's always one drama in the house. Is it that the head teacher called, something happened at the school? And because as at that time, she too was working. So there was always one issue or the other. And then when I come visiting the school, something inside of me will always be like, how can the school look like this? I attended a good school, so what do you mean? How can the school can't be like this? So I just don't know. Just one day, I just like, okay, Mom, I was going to resign.
Oh.
I'm going to take up that job. And she was like, I don't have that money to pay you. you know how much you're earning? I said, don't worry, Mom, I was going to take it. And that's how the journey started. And I took it over.
Oh, wow. What such an amazing journey you have there. So the journey so far, how has it been for you?
When I started, in the estate where the school is located, there actually was another school. And this school had a very huge facility. That was the first challenge I looked at. It was like an obstacle. I was like, oh, how am I going to start? We have nothing. This school has all. And you can't imagine running a business, whether we like it or not. Yes, it's a school. We want to give quality education.
Correct, yeah.
So how do I penetrate for parents to believe in me that, oh, here I could be small, but then I know what I'm actually doing. So I think that was where I started from. And gradually, with training, I did my master's as well. And then another beautiful thing that I think happened with me was the kind of people I've worked with. I happen to have come across amazing teachers who were not just teachers by the name teacher, but who were passionate about the job. And I think as a result of that, I was able to build a formidable team. And that was how we started Folad School.
Well, in all of the things you've mentioned, one of the things I picked up from was what you just mentioned now, being passionate about the job. So it makes me understand that the teaching profession is more of a passion thing than a money-making venture.
Exactly.
Elaborate, please.
Yeah, because when you take a look at, just like you and I, we're both different.
Correct.
No matter how poor your population may be, you will definitely have a minimum of 3 pupils in your classroom. These children are from different backgrounds, different learning styles. You as a teacher must be able to merge all this together and still give these children results. Now, in the course of your teaching, you're going to come through challenges. It could be as a result of difficulty in learning from the part of the child. Do you understand? Being able to pair them together in the same classroom. How do you manage? How do you control emotions so that you don't burst out? Probably after you've taught a particular topic, you need to reteach all over again. And something is going on, the children are not getting it. How do you do it so much that you still make sure that effective teaching and learning is taking place in that class? So if you do not have passion for the job, if you do not enjoy what you do, before you know it, you're going to freeze out of the whole system.
I can imagine dealing with children. Children are amazing, so amazing, but at the same time, you know, the lot of patience it has to take. So now talking about the community where you mentioned you walked into the public school and you were wondering why should the environmental factors, does it really affect the child's learning in, okay?
Yeah, it goes a long way. Environment, let's take a look at the school for instance. A good school must have a conducive environment.
Okay.
If you want to stimulate learning in children, your environment will go a long way. Starting from outside, going to inside your classroom. So you must ensure that children's learning are being stimulated with the way your environment is. So your environment must not just be big enough, it must be beautiful. It must aid learning, even your classroom. So I do not need to have a teacher in the classroom before learning can take place with me. So as I enter your classroom, what do I see? What are the colors? What kind of decorations do you have? Are there things that will stimulate me as a child to want to learn? That is for the school. Now let's take a look at the local community where the school is even located.
Yeah, very important.
What kind of community am I in? What do they understand with education? What do they think education is all about? Do they think education is just about you waking up and sending a child to school? Or do they think that it's beyond that? So all these are factors that affect learning and that affect the kind of quality education that the child has.
Yeah, I like the fact you mentioned the environment because I said that to say this. Now you see in most African countries, especially sub-Saharan Africa, we see that a lot of women are subjected to space, societal norms, and yeah, the world is evolving, but before the world has evolved to where it is now, we saw the fact that a lot of women, it wasn't believed that women should go to school. A man has maybe 4 girls and 4 boys, and he believes that the girls are marriage materials, which he may not be wrong in his own thought life, but then the need for a girl to go to school is seen as a waste of time. After all, she would marry off. What if you were in that kind of community? How do you now convince them that learning, education is important? Because you mentioned that it's not just about sending the child to school. The morals you instill in the child can make the child decide if he or she is teachable, can learn, or can assimilate things.
I think for us in the West, we seem to be very lucky. That kind of problem does not really seem to really exist here in the West. But when we move away from the western part of Nigeria and you begin to go through the north, then you know that there's a big problem. Okay, and I think one of the major issues is this government. Although I do not really like to always point at government, because I believe that even as individuals, there is a role that we need to play. Now, the first thing is, how do I attract these children to come to school? Because one of the major reasons why some parents may be reluctant is the money aspect. When you have a huge bill to pay, and I'm like, okay, if I send this child to school, I have to buy school uniform. I need to buy notebooks. I need to buy this. Where will I get the money from? At the end of the day, I'm still going to marry this girl off. So why not invest in my boys? Okay, so I think if we first of all look at the financial aspect of it, and then we make it like free education, just like the then Obafemi Awolowo era. And you know, education is free. I know when I'm sending my child to school, I'm not looking at how much I'm going to pay. That is the first thing. It attracts them. Then, who is that teacher that I'm going to meet in the classroom? That's another factor. If I'm fortunate enough and I meet a passionate teacher who understands the role that he or she is expected to play in the classroom, I may enjoy coming to school, and education will become more attractive. I think I watched a movie. It was all about I can't remember the title of the movie, but it was about a child. The child never attended school, but the child was very good with sport. Yeah, it's even an African movie. Yeah, it's a Nigerian film. The child enjoyed sport, but the parent did not like the child to go to school. But the child was fortunate to have met a good teacher, and the teacher went extra mile to ensure that that child's dream came to pass. That is who a teacher is expected to be. So I think the role falls on we teachers, school owners, and government. But the first thing I believe is, once there is no money attached, parents will be more than willing to release their children to come to school.
Well, I think that's a good place to say we'll take a very short break now. We'll be right back, because you are speaking at length and it's really an interesting conversation. We'll be right back. All right, now the show still continues actually, because the conversation is robust and it's very interesting. Please go nowhere. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to AfriWoman on iBrandTV. I'm sure you enjoyed the last segment, and we have been speaking with Alebi Oshu Oluwatoyin, the head teacher for Folad Kiddies School. And back to you, before the break, you mentioned something very important. I was going to interject then, but I just wanted to wait. You mentioned the fact that if the money factor is taken out, we'll see more parents be willing to release their children. But then, even in the days of Awolowo, now it was free, but how many parents actually did release their children? And also the fact that it's a mentality thing, really. Even without the money, I saw a movie talking about a movie of the Riverman area, and someone was telling the child that, okay, she saw someone who was educated, have a bad life, a bad marriage, was swindled by a man she loved, in quotes, and then she was telling her daughter that, you see why you should go to the river, fish and sell fish. What fish, sell fish, make money, you get married. You don't have to be like, look at that one that went to school. You see that, look at what happened to her. The man swindled her, she's having a bad life, she has gone back to square one. You don't have to go to school, school is nothing. And then it was a free education in the village at the time. So now that is a reenactment of a live event, because it happened live. So is money really the issue, or it's a mentality thing?
Yeah, I wouldn't say you're wrong, but I know, there's something I know. I know that different families, different issues. The mentality thing is there, but do not also forget that if, for example, like I said earlier, money is removed, a certain percentage will go to school. Okay, certain percentage will go. That means you've reduced the population. Now, we'll take a look again. There is a survey that we're going to do. What happened? Why are the other ones not coming? Oh, it's a mentality thing. Then that means we need to do more education. We need to educate parents. And then we need to go back to those traditional leaders. Do not forget that even during our colonial era, these British people were able to penetrate through this traditional rulers. So definitely if there's a problem with our traditional rulers, the whole community is going to have an issue. But if the traditional rulers themselves believe that education is key, they have a way of speaking to their subordinates, making their community understand that education is key. So it becomes like a kind of law being enacted, maybe like a bylaw kind of, that any child that is found roaming around the street, found in the farm within the social superior. The parents will be, there'll be a fine that will be paid up. You see, parents are going to rush back. They're going to rush back they're going to send their children back to school. And like I said earlier, the teachers still have a role to play. When these children eventually comes to school, you must ensure that you see them through to the very end. That means that the end product must be great. Wow. If the end product is good, every parent wants his or her child to be successful. So if parent A sees that, oh, parent B sent his or her child to school and the child came out to be like this, come on, won't I be more than willing to send mine to school?
I agree with you. I really do agree with you. I want you to reiterate the need for women to be educated. How important is it?
You know, it was then that women always look up to men for things. I tell you today, things have really turned around. When you visit organizations, you discover that 80% of their workers are women. Even in homes today, women are the ones doing majority of the great things. So I tell you, if these women were not educated, they won't be where they are. Even if you're going to do buying and selling, what have you, there's this thing called branding now. If you do not brand yourself, nobody's going to come patronize you. And even today now, no one is actually going for this, oh, I have a shop, I want to go there to buy. People are going online. Everything is becoming technology. So if you're not technologically inclined, there is no way you'll be able to move. So if you're not educated, how do you want to get there? You'll be left behind. So I think it's no longer the usual, oh, women have to, it's all staring us in the face that if I am not educated, I won't be anywhere in the next few years.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And now we're looking at the fact that as much as there are good times, there are also challenges you must have encountered in your quest for, as you follow your passion and also your quest for education. Because you mentioned you have a master's degree. Not everybody have time to finish first degree and want to go for master's degree. They feel like it's already too stressful, let me go on with my life. But in your career as an educationist, what are the challenges you must have gone through or encountered, and how were you able to handle them to be where you are today?
Okay, like you rightly said, yeah, it's when you take a look at the kind of job that we do, sincerely, there's never a breathing space. Because of the fact that we deal with human beings, there's always one challenge or the other that you really need to overcome. Now, when it comes to us, because we are teachers, we need to learn and relearn. So if you do not by yourself return back to school to learn some certain things, it doesn't necessarily have to be school, as in 4 walls, maybe a university or something. No. There are trainings, there are seminars everywhere. Even while you're in the classroom, while you're in your office, you could go online and do a lot of research for yourself. So really, as a teacher, if you do not tend towards learning and relearning, before you know, you're going to face out. That is one. Now, when we look at the challenges that really face us as a school, finance for heavy business is an issue. It's not always every business that always love to go to the bank for loan. Sometimes you want
financing is important.
So sometimes you want to say, oh, let me plow back my profit. Okay, so it now depends how much profit have I really made? Because when we look at it, our own kind of business is not the usual business where you always must be profit driven because you're dealing with lives. So sometimes at the end of the term, it may be equation balance. Wow. What am I saying? Expenses equals to income. Okay, so that's one major challenge. And because it's an educational institution, you need to be at the top of your game. There are a lot of materials you need to keep buying. You need to keep training your staff. You need to keep ensuring that your environment is conducive for children to learn. So that is one aspect. Now, after COVID, I think we had another big issue after COVID. You know, COVID actually opened teachers to see things from a different perspective. So apparently there was kind of shortage of teachers everywhere. Teachers, probably because some schools, our school actually, we took care of our staff during COVID period. But I think some schools didn't do that. So as a result, most teachers left the teaching profession to do some other things. So apparently right now, generally, there's a shortage of teachers. So really, it's another big issue because as the school expands, you need more teachers. So it becomes very difficult for you to get quality teachers who can give you what you really want. That's another major challenge for us as a school.
So how were you able to handle the challenge, especially the COVID era? I know the COVID, people started adopting, parents started adopting the e-learning thing, platform, internet, you go to the internet, YouTube, social media, a lot of things. So how was it for you during the COVID period?
Yeah, I think for us it was because it wasn't as if we just started. We had already started even before COVID, only that we had to intensify our effort. Unfortunately, we have amazing parents who are, let me say, 21st century, so they understand that, oh, we can't afford to sleep on this. So immediately COVID started and they knew that, oh, these children must learn irrespective. The hot job, once we treat at them that come, this is the method we're going to use. But the only thing, we're very flexible. You know, when we first of all went into Zoom, we discovered there were a lot of network issues and stuff like that. We moved away. We left Zoom, we started with Telegram. And so even parents who were not, you know, in tune with all this app, they just like, oh, how do we do it? Okay, we'll tell them this is what you do. And then before you know it, the whole went into. So it wasn't like it was 100% for us, but I think it wasn't bad. Oh, so, wow. And our children still continued even during COVID. Yeah.
That was COVID really, it didn't go well with a lot of businesses, even homes. But now let's go away from COVID era and now talk about you. You know, how are you able to successfully manage being a successful head teacher, a successful wife, and a successful woman generally?
Yeah, I think
that's a lot of duty on its own, I know.
It's a serious one. But I think most important thing is, like I said, the beginning of the whole thing is your passion. If you do not have passion for this job, you are going to freeze out very shortly. And then, of course, strength that you draw from God. You know, God is faithful and is the only one that gives one strength. You know, so even when you're tired, you're like, I can't afford to be tired. You know, sometimes when I sleep, I dream school. Yeah, it's as good as that. You know, I understand this is my job. I understand it's not like a job, it's just like a calling. I enjoy what I do. So irrespective, I try to plan myself for it. And I have an amazing husband, I must say.
I was coming to that. I was waiting for you to say, if you didn't mention that, I would have asked why.
Yeah, I have an amazing husband, you know, so he cooks. He does a lot of things.
I'm sure the men can hear this. You should help your wife.
Seriously, he doesn't even understand that there's man, woman in the house. So he cooks. Probably because we've known each other for, even before we got married, we knew each other for almost like 7 years or thereabout.
Oh, so you're friends.
Yeah, so you understand that, Tony, you can't do that. Please cook. So he cooks. Even before I come back, I've cooked. Okay, it's fine. So if he comes back early from work, he does it. Do you understand? And if I'm back early, you know, I do that as well. And of course, my kids are amazing. I have a daughter. My daughter is 8 years old, so she understands she has duties. So she wakes up in the morning, she will sweep, she will mop. I don't have a house girl. I only have someone who comes in every weekend to do thorough cleaning of the house. But that's why I just manage all around, because I think at the end of the day, it's just all about me seeing my job, not necessarily as a job. I think I don't see I don't see it as a job. I see like a kind of calling that this is just what I've been called to do. I must do it, I must do it well. And it becomes like, if you're not getting it, just go and find a way.
I'm sure it gives you satisfaction.
Do you understand? It gives me so much satisfaction. Even when I have children that have so much challenge, I have difficult parents, I'm like, don't worry, we'll get by. The most important thing, I know that no child will leave our school the same way. You can't come to Folad school even on a day and leave it the same way. That can't happen. So
where do you see yourself going with your career and your life in years to come?
Okay, like I used to tell myself, this is just the beginning. There's still a long way to go. So I tell myself, Tony, you just need to learn, keep relearning. I'm not satisfied with where I am. I know that there are so many opportunities our children must be exposed to. I know that now it's not about the certificate that you own anymore. Now it's about who you are, what you have here, what you can offer. And the primary school, it brings the foundation for every child. Whether you like it or not, if a child's primary school education is faulty, it's going to take a lot of effort for that child to journey through the educational system. That's just the truth. So for us as primary school teachers, it's our role to ensure that we lay a very good foundation. And so because we know our role, we know we can never be tired. We know that where we are now is not where we really want to be. We still have a very long way to go. So much that anywhere these children find themselves at the end of the day, whether within the four shores of our country or outside, they can raise their heads up high and succeed.
All right, that's amazing. Well, just before I let you go, what's that message you have to say to African women, women who feel subjugated and who are actually subjugated, probably saying they can't go to school, they can't be this, they can't be that, and are restricted by societal norms and societal dictates?
I think the first thing I'll say is set yourself free. Because the first thing is, when you set yourself free, you release yourself from a lot of bondage, a lot of boundaries, then you can take a step. The situation does not necessarily have to be comfortable. That's just it. If you're looking for a perfect situation before you start, you will never start. So wherever you find yourself, just start. Education is key. No one, yes, we've had a situation where someone would say, but I wasn't educated, but I still succeeded. There's always two sides to a coin. But education is key for you not just to succeed today, but for your tomorrow to be great. So I think there's no limit for anybody. You can only limit yourself. The environment itself can't limit you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and we wish you many, many, many more years of success, and we'll always come back to record your success with you.
You're welcome anytime.
Right.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll be speaking with Alebi Oshu Oluwatoyin, and like she said, education is key, not just for the certificate you acquire, but to safeguard your future. There's no limit to what you can do. The only limit you have is yourself. The only competition you have is the person you look at in the mirror every morning. My name is Margaret Opara. Until I come your way next time, keep watching iBrandTV.